But the book is, well, they're both geared towards people who are in sales, any kind of, insurance, real estate, anybody that's out there trying to sell something. But I do mention in the first book that we are all selling something. Everybody's selling something. If you're applying for a job, you're trying to sell yourself. If sales is nothing more than trying to convince somebody to do something now. That's all it is. And so if you're trying to get your child to eat vegetables, that you're in sales, So,
okay, everybody, welcome back to Living the Next Chapter, the author podcast. We get to talk to great authors from around the world. Now, this guy shows up in a meetup group that I host for podcasters. He comes in and he just lights up the room. It's really fun to talk to, and everyone's loving him already. So I love how you can connect with people through podcasting, and Chris is a great example of that. He has his own podcast, which you got to go listen to. We'll have links to this in his website and everything included in the podcast. But he's got 2 books to talk about and his journey. And if you've ever thought, well, I always feel so salesy when I talk about promoting myself and promoting my business and what I do, and I just don't like the feeling of being salesy, Chris is going to help you with this. And he's got 2 books to help you along that journey. Chris, welcome to Living the Next Chapter. Glad to have you here.
Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate you having me. I've been listening to your show for the last month or so, just learning how to podcast.
So, Good. Have you been a guest on podcasts before, Chris?
I have been on other podcasts. Yes, I have been on several, probably about 2 dozen.
Okay. Well, all I can say to you is you're going to be great at this, by the way.
Oh, thanks.
See what I did there?
Yeah. I did. I got that.
Da-dum, ching. There we go. We brought that in. I like that. Chris, tell everybody, how did this all start for you to sit down and start writing? You got 2 books in the world. What was the initial spark for you to start writing?
Well, a lot of it was, I've been in sales for over 30 years. My first job out of college was a sales job. And a lot of it was just trying to write a book telling people all the stuff that I wish I had known when I first got into sales. Because there's a lot of road bumps and things like that. And people, when you're getting hired for sales jobs, they're not honest sometimes. And I had a lot of frustrations. It was just a lot. The first book was just, let's just get all this out. And as I went, I just kind of put notes down every now and then. I'd just write something down. I had a folder just filled with scraps of paper. And I finally got the nerve to write it all down. And I put it together, and I took my time. I said, okay, it was January. I'm going to get this thing done by May. I'm going to have a month to edit it. And, I learned the process. It was a long process because back then there was I can't remember the name of it, but it was a self-publishing platform that's no longer with us. And I had to ask people, how do I edit photos and how do I do all these things? And I would just write 2 or 3 pages a night, and then I just throw them up there, and let's just, go back when a few weeks later when we were a little bit more objective and look at them and say, oh, this sucked. Let's take that out of there. And this is good. Let's leave it in. And that was the way I wrote the first book. And it did better than I thought. I mean, honestly, I was just, it was kind of a lark. I was going to just write it. My promotion strategy was just hand people a book, and I'd say, hold this for a minute. And I'd take a picture of them, and then I'd get the book back and I'd run away, and then I'd post it on social media, and I'd go, hey, look, another happy reader with my book. These people had no idea at all what I was doing. And nice. I would go to networking events and just hand somebody a book and take a picture of them and leave. And it was just crazy. But people buy on the approval of others. And when they would see their friend on social media holding a picture of my book, they go, well, it must be good, I guess. And so we sold, when I say I sold, I don't know, a couple hundred copies. I have, like I always say, I have hundreds of friends. I have dozens of fans all over the world. And but when COVID hit, I was just kind of stuck, and I couldn't go out and see clients. I have an insurance agency, and I couldn't see clients. So I was just started blogging, thinking, well, this will give me something to do, and down the road, maybe I can do something. And then when COVID was over, I wanted to go out and do some speaking engagements, but it was really kind of didn't make sense to go out and do speaking engagements on a book that was 7 years old at that point, 6, 7 years old. So I made the decision to take all those blogs and just condense those. And some of the stuff was more topical pertaining to COVID. So I took a lot of that out and put together the second book, which is Nearly Motivated, like me. And so that's where we are. But the second book was much easier because then we had Canva. And before I was having to learn how to edit photos in GIMP and all these different things. I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. It was a whole lot easier. And I actually bit the bullet and just went on Fiverr and said, hey, here's $50 if somebody will just edit this thing down and format it for me. And it was a whole lot easier. It cost me $50 to get some stuff done. Good. So that's where we are. And I'm still trying to go out there and get some speaking engagements out of it. And I do from time to time. I'll talk to some real estate offices, things like that. Lots of times I just use it as a door prize if I go to a networking event, because then I can, if somebody gives me their business card to use as, an entry, I take their email off of that and I put that on my email list, whether they want me to or not. So.
There you go. So if you're getting emails, you've probably seen Chris somewhere.
You're probably going, who is this guy?
Who is this guy? Well, it's like a really great business card that people can read instead of just look at, right? So you get to take this home with you, and a little piece of Chris comes back with you to your house. So it's nice.
That's right. And on the back cover of it, we had a friend of mine who I work with, and he gave me a little blurb, and it said, "If you're in sales, this is the best book to keep on the back of your toilet." So,
There you go.
So we try, little bite-sized segments, just you can read it just in a little bit at a time.
Yeah. There you go. Okay. All right. So who would you say is your ideal audience then for the books? What do you got in mind?
For the book they're both geared towards people who are in sales, any kind of, insurance, real estate, anybody that's out there trying to sell something. But I do mention in the first book that we are all selling something. Right. Everybody's selling something. If you're applying for a job, you're trying to sell yourself. If you're, sales is nothing more than trying to convince somebody to do something now. That's all it is. Yeah. And so if you're trying to get your child to eat vegetables, that you're in sales.
Trying to get somebody to marry you. Yeah, you're in sales.
Yeah, I mean, right. There you go. That's a good one. Yeah. And so we're all in sales. So I tried to make the first book really accessible to everybody. I even have a chapter in there on how to be a good customer. And because I give some examples of bad customers, of course, we've all dealt with that. Yeah. And, then I peppered the book with what we call dumb stories, which are just humorous, real things that happened to me over the years. And, I've had people go, well, I didn't read the book, but I did read all the dumb stories. So that became a little bit like I don't want to say a trademark, but when I wrote the second one, people were like, you've got to put more dumb stories in there. So that's what we did. And so they're accessible to anybody that can read. When I say accessible, it's applicable is the word I should be using, but anybody can read it and enjoy it and get something out of it, especially the first one. The second one, there's a little bit more, sales stuff in there, but not a whole lot. It's pretty much the same, more of the same.
Okay. I need a dumb story, Chris. I can't let this hang. I need a dumb story. Come on, share one with me. Let's go.
Well, I'll tell you the dumb story that's not in either one of the. Oh. No, it might be in the second one. I can't remember now. It's been so long. I did have and this is one I use when I speak, but I was selling door-to-door accident insurance back in, I guess this is about 1985. I was right out of college, and they had put me out in the country somewhere, and I was just cold calling. It's the middle of the day. You don't have anybody to see. And you're just looking for someone that's home. And I'm out in the middle of this country road, and I passed this house when I say house, it was like a trailer,
Mm-hmm.
really small. There was a pickup truck bigger than the trailer outside, and
Okay.
and I walked up to the door, and the guy saw me coming because out in the country you have those real long driveways. They're
Yeah.
like a quarter of a mile long, and he saw me coming, and we had a very distinctive binder. People could spot you a mile away, and I was working with a company called Combined Insurance, and everybody called us Combine. That was
Mm.
what all these people out there would say. And he saw me pulling up, and as soon as I got out of the car, he said, "Are you with the Combine?"
Oh.
And I said, I could tell he wasn't happy. And I said, "Well, why do you ask?" And he said, "Well, if you are, I'm going to go in my house and I'm going to get my shotgun and I'm going to shoot you." And I said, "Why would you do that?" It's like 2 in the afternoon. And he said, "Well, I had a claim and they didn't pay it."
Mm.
And I said, "Well, Combine," I said it the way he said it. I said, "Combine sells accident insurance. What kind of claim did you have?" He goes, "I had a wart on my foot." And I said, "Well, sir, that's not an accident." He goes, "Well, I didn't mean to get a wart on my foot. I
Mm.
accidentally got a wart on my foot."
Mm.
And I went, "This guy is, you know, I'm not going to have a logical conversation with
No.
this young man." And here I was, 23 years old, trying to look dapper and everything with my London fog coat and everything. And I just looked at him. I said, "Hang on to that thought for a minute. I just got my card left." I was like, "I'm not going to stick around, try to reason with the guy that wants to shoot me over a wart that he had who knows how many years ago." So, that's a dumb story. That was,
Yeah. So you didn't get the sale then, is what you're telling me.
I
on that
didn't
one.
even try.
No.
I
No.
was, that's
All
one
right.
of those that you go back the next day and you tell your manager, you're like, "Yeah, I had a guy threaten to shoot me over a wart." Par for the course with that job. I had another couple. I went into their house and I had passed the guy in the driveway. I thought it was them, and they were very upset. Older couple. The old man was in there waving a pistol, and come to
Wow.
find out, the guy I had passed in the driveway was a vacuum cleaner salesman, and he decided that after he wouldn't take no for an answer, he was going to throw some dirt on the floor to
Oh.
demonstrate his vacuum cleaner,
Mm-hmm.
and that was the last straw. And they chased him off, and they thought I was with him.
Oh.
And after I calmed them down and everything, they felt horrible about the whole thing. They made me lunch and apologized profusely. But those are the kind of stories that are in the book. And, that it's just that kind of thing. It's just all kinds. I've worked retail over the years, and I've managed stores, and I've done outside sales and inside sales and telemarketing. And so the book is just examples of different things and different scenarios that I've had. Like I said, there's things that I wish somebody had told me about when I first got into the business.
Right. I remember I was in my late teens, early 20s. I was looking for work. I was between jobs. So I responded to one of those phone marketing jobs. And it was for a hotel, like a motel type thing. And they were doing like packages for a gym membership to their gym. And the gym was like a weight bench. Okay. That was all it was. It really wasn't a gym. And they had a pool and they had like a continental breakfast. And we're supposed to call up these businesses and get them to book a motel rooms and book this thing, whole package deal. So I went in the room, and as soon as I went in there, I'm like, I shouldn't be here. Because on the wall was the cat hanging from the tree saying, "Just hang in there." And there's all these motivational posters. We're just in one of the rooms converted into a sales room. They just took the bed out, and now we're in this suite, right? And we sat down at my first day, and we're sitting in the circle. Everybody's pumped up, Chris. They're ready to sell, right? And here's Dave. I don't even want to be there. And so the boss looks at us. He's in his tie and his dress shirt and everything. And he says, "Okay, everybody, I want you to give me a number today on how many you're going to sell, how many packages we're going to. So we went around the room. I was the last one. I was sitting right beside him. So thankfully he started on the other side. It went all the way around the room. People are like, I'm going to sell 100. I'm going to sell 500. I'm going to sell 50. Everybody's like super pumped. They get to me. I'm like, I'm going to sell one. Right? And the guy looked at me and he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to sell one. I'm not going to sell 500. It's my first day. Give me a break. I'll sell one. And then he continues and says, okay, well, everybody, if you double what you just said, I'm going to give you $100 bonus.
Yeah, that's great.
So who looks smart now, Chris? All I had to sell was two, and I made $100, right? The guy that wanted to do 500 had to sell 1,000. So I came off sweet. So I called two people that I prearranged because they knew I was there, and I sold to them. I ran up, rang the bell, handed in my paper, collected my $100. It was great.
Oh my gosh,
and
that's
then
awesome.
quit because I'm like, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like bugging people, calling. I'm an introvert. I don't want to call people on the phone. Hi, Chris. I would like to sell you this program. Click, click, click. I didn't enjoy that. So
I did one like that. It was a mobile home park or something, and they wanted people to come out and see the mobile home. It wasn't a park; it was where they sold them. And the prizes, if you came out and you said yes, you would get all these gifts, but you had to qualify. Mm-hmm. And it was like you had to make X amount of income, and you had to have this and that, blah blah. Well, nobody qualified. Everybody wanted to come, and everybody wanted the gifts, but nobody could qualify. And if you got two of those at night, you were considered like the man, because it was like, well, do you make $20,000 a year? And people were like, no. And we're like, where did this mailing list come from that you guys bought with all these people that don't even make $20,000 a year?
Yeah. Right.
So come to find out they had bought a bad list and it didn't meet all the, the parameters they were looking for. But, sales is so much like, it's like when I was single and my opening line was, I thrive on rejection. Will you go out with me? And you make it a win-win. So that's where, I tell people that all the time, if I'm selling insurance and I'm, so did you need some long-term care insurance this week? And they're like, nope. And I was like, okay, see ya.
Right.
Great. That's what I was hoping you'd say.
So authors are trying to sell books. So I get this frequently, that authors feel like they get all this great support when they go more traditional and they have somebody helping them, and editors and beta readers and all that stuff. But the moment the book is done and a box arrives on your front step and now you got to go sell these books, they feel like everyone leaves. And now they're left alone to get out and talk about books, get on podcasts, promote their book, speak about their book, whatever. But there doesn't seem to be the same support to going out and selling their book. So for the authors that are listening, Chris, any advice on getting your book out into the world and maybe some things that have worked for you?
Before, just to back up a little bit there, I had spoken to a person who had a book published the traditional route and thought they were going to get all that support. And all they really got was just distribution, which is great. But either way, you're still going to go out there and have to promote it and try to get it out there. And luckily for me, social media works a little bit, and just like I said, taking pictures of people holding the book, whether it's against their will or not, it's not like I have somebody in a hostage video or something, but if you can get people to hold the book that are popular, I don't want to say popular, but like on social media and things like that, that helps tremendously, because there again, they see somebody that they know who's got the book and they go, oh, okay, I didn't know that guy. He's the head of so-and-so company. Mm-hmm. And I would just, hustle. I mean, you just have to, I keep a box full of books in my car, and I'm constantly, talking to people, and then they'll say, oh, I was at a networking event just about a month ago locally here. And somebody asked me, did you bring any of your books? And I sold 3 of them right there, just cash right there in my pocket. Yeah. It's not going to go up the Billboard charts or anything, but no. Not the New York Times bestseller list with those 3, but, it paid for my lunch. So it's just hustling a little bit, and it's sales. It's just going out there and talking to people and telling them what you do. And, you don't, like you said earlier, you don't want to brag, but you want to do the humble brag, where you just kind of just throw it out there, like, oh yeah, I've written a couple of books, and they go, oh really? What kind? Not everybody's written a book,
Right.
and it's always nice when you meet somebody that's done something that you haven't done. And I always hear people tell me, one day I'm going to write a book, and I'm like, well, just do it. Write a book, and if you need some help, call me. I'll be happy to help you and show you what I went through if I can, if I'm able. If I have some knowledge, I'll be happy to help you, and I'll show you how I marketed it. But social media, I still push both books constantly. I just I use Canva a lot. I go on Canva and I will make really horrible memes. They're just on the topic of sales, which is what the books are on.
Yeah.
And then I'll, put a little clip, photo of the book in the corner, and,
Yeah.
and with my website, and they go on Instagram and LinkedIn and anywhere else I'm at, Facebook. It's just it's got to talk about it
Yeah.
and let people know. There's an old saying, and I think it's in the Bible, about nobody's going to look at your light if you keep it under the
Right.
table. You got to put it
Yeah.
up on top of the table,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
where people can see it. So just going out and talking to people. I have business cards that have pictures of the books and a QR code,
Smart.
and I just hand them out. And if you really want to be sneaky, you can take those business cards and go to your local bookstore and just stick them in the books.
There you go.
Who is this guy leaving?
We're going to have a warning on this episode. Some of the advice in this episode may be illegal, like asking people to hold your book while you take photos of them, hiding your business card, and okay, yeah, well, there you go. Try it, see what happens.
It's a little bit unorthodox, but I do that in my insurance agency. I have there's a company that sends me a lot of free brochures, and I'll go into real estate offices, and I'll just walk in and I'll say, can I use your restroom real quick? And they'll say, yeah. And my business card is staple these brochures, and I would just go in and just put it on the back of the commode, and I'll say thank you, and I'll leave. And I know I've got a captive audience. Somebody walks in there, and they're like, what's this? And and the next thing you know, my phone, I've had sales from that in the past. So I'm not going to leave my book on the back of someone's, but just thinking outside the box and making it fun. If I walk out of someplace and I can get a couple of giggles out of it, that's worth it for me. I'm very easily amused sometimes, so it doesn't take much.
Okay, so if your book is a key, what doors unlock by having a book for you?
That's a good question, because what I do is I use the book. So let me do it this way. I have the book, and then I have my insurance agency, and then I also have the speaking part of the business, which, kind of goes inside with the book. So all three of them, each one of them can be used for the other two.
Yeah.
So when I'm sitting in front of a client with my insurance agency, I can promote, I'll talk up my book a little bit and the speaking. I'll just throw it out there. I'll go, well, I do a little bit of speaking. I've written some books. When I'm talking about my books, I'm talking about my speaking engagements or the insurance agency. So all of them help me promote the other two. And so it just depends on what the situation is. But I've had times when I've sent somebody a book and they'll go, oh, come talk to our group. And I get there and I don't know what this group is. They're like, hey, we need you to come talk to our group, and we'll have, these people that do all this stuff. I thought I did one about a year ago. I thought it was a group that booked entertainers and speakers. They book like musicians and stuff. And I was in this giant concert hall at this place, and we were on the stage, and it wasn't anybody in the audience. It was the people that booked the people. Oh. And we were all on the stage together, and it was probably 25 of them tops. And I'm up there giving my talk on how we're all in sales and we're all selling something. And I don't know what these people are selling. I don't have a clue. So before I gave the talk, I sat down with some of them and I just said, what is it that you guys sell? What's the pain point? And they were, "Oh, well, we try to sell sponsorships and stuff like that." Okay, now I got a little bit of a clue. But doing that, I mentioned my insurance business. And so speaking of doors that, like I said, one will open the door for the other two in
Hmm.
that case. And it's just a
Okay.
matter of mentioning it. You don't have to really push, 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 but
Yeah.
just put it out there. You, after you say it, they've heard it.
Yeah.
You don't have to keep ringing the bell,
Yeah.
as
Okay.
they say.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you have your new podcast as well. Talk a little bit about this. How does this
Yeah,
fit
that's
into
the
this? Yeah.
thanks for bringing that up,
There
Dave.
you go. See that? It's like we knew that was going to happen.
I
Right.
know. Who knew? Yeah, it's the "You're Going to Be Great at This" podcast. And there again, I'm talking about sales, marketing, giving tips, tricks, hacks, anything I'm learning all the time too. And like I said, I've been in the business for so long that I'm, the goal is to help people who are just solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, small business owners, independent contractors, anybody that's in sales. Here's a way to work a networking event. Here's some tips and tricks on how to make a sign magnet for your car for under $20
Hmm.
that will work, and things like that. So it's just that kind of advice. Right now, I've got about 4 or 5 episodes as of this time that are already out. I've got a few more recorded that have guests. Trying to keep it as generic as possible as far as sales techniques. I don't want to get, like, well, here's how real estate agents do it, because not everybody's going to be a real estate agent.
Right.
But if I can take a little nugget from here and there and just say, here's a piece of advice. I like for instance, let's if you have a sign magnet on your car, park next to the shopping cart corral at the grocery store, which
Yeah.
is a high traffic area,
Yeah.
and make a business card holder on your sign magnet so people can get your business card while you're shopping. Things like that I've done. So it's just going out there and finding those little pieces of information and sharing that on a podcast, because I don't have enough to do. Really, I need,
Right.
like who needs
Yeah.
sleep?
No, it's overrated. It's
I
so
know.
overrated. Yeah.
I used to have a boss. He used to say, "There's time to sleep when you're dead. Don't worry about it."
Yeah. Make hay while the sun's right out there, right? All that. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
I get it. Okay. So I'm curious, Chris, what's something that is a traditionally held sales belief or practice that you just don't do? Like, it didn't work for you. You would never get up on stage and promote this. And you found a different way to do sales
Well, I
than
mean,
something traditionally held.
yeah, I mean, everything's changed so much over the last few years. Especially with the internet.
Yeah.
I would definitely never go do door to door sales in residences anymore.
Hmm.
That's just crazy. It's dangerous. And there's a old school style of insurance called debit route, where they used to go around, and pick up someone's premium every week. Just come by, hey, I came by to pick up that $3. And there's a handful of people that still do that kind of stuff, but
Really?
and it's dangerous, and it's scary. But you can take that skill set from cold calling, and like at that first insurance job I had, and you can use that if you're selling B2B. It's perfectly fine to go cold calling into businesses, and walk into someone's business, especially if they're brand new. I always like going in and just saying, hey, I just wanted to welcome you to the local business community. Here's my card if I can ever be of service to you, and just make myself available, and just stick my head in the door and say, hey, good luck. If you need anything, please let me know. And not threatening. That's the way I do it. Now and oddly enough, I've had people, you're just here to sell me something, and try to chase me off. And those people coincidentally do not stay in business very long, because if they're going to be mean to me, they're probably going to be mean to everybody else that walks in the door.
True.
So, but that would be the one thing I wouldn't do anymore. Just it's hard. Selling is tough anyway, and you need to find the path of least resistance
Yeah.
if you can, and finding referrals and learning how to work a good referral system, having language that you use that works. There's a million different referral language systems out there. If you can find two that work for you, stick with it.
Yeah.
Just stick.
Yeah.
You don't have to go out and reinvent the wheel all the time.
And find your community, right, where you'll be most receptive to your message. And if you're a business, author, or you have a business product or service, then being a part of your business after five or chamber of commerce, whatever you have in your community,
Yeah.
be there, be a part of, and be actively part and supportive of it. Speak at those events and support other people who speak at those events. Just
Yeah.
show up, right, and be a community member.
It's that's it. You've just hit the nail on the head. Showing up, being there. The more you show up, the more top of mind you're going to be. And when someone does need that product or service that you have,
Yeah.
they're going to think of you first, because that's the guy that came to my ribbon cutting when I first started, or that's the guy that sent over, came by one day and dropped off some donut holes or whatever it was. And, that's all it is. And it's the same with social media, especially LinkedIn. If you're on LinkedIn and you just post once or twice a day, once a week, LinkedIn is not the most exciting social media. But if you go on there, just post something once or twice a week, or comment on somebody's feed, the algorithm loves you.
Mm-hmm.
They're just happy to have somebody participating.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. It's just being there, getting the at bats in, and
Right.
and doing a little bit of work. And like I said, I've just, before I was on here earlier today, I went to a ribbon cutting at a new business, and then after that, I went over to the Chamber of Commerce for a little networking luncheon.
Nice.
And I saw some of the same people twice today, and they're just, but you build that bond, you build that camaraderie, and hopefully, when somebody says, "Hey, I need some insurance," or "I need a speaker," or "I need a good book to read," or a good podcast,
Mm-hmm.
they might think of me, hopefully.
Yeah.
So,
There you go.
that's all it is. You just got to stay out there. I mean, how many times have you seen somebody come to you trying to sell you something, and then you just never saw them again?
Yeah.
And
Right.
that doesn't work, And so just working it a little bit, making a tickler file. Hey, Dave, is it okay if I put you in my tickler file, and I'll call you in 6 months or a year and touch base with them, or or the other method is to what we call dripping, where you just send them, "Hey, Dave, I found this article. It might be something of interest to you,"
Nice.
and just send them an email or something
Yeah.
every once in a while, and that kind of thing. A good little tip there is using Google Alerts.
Mm.
If you're not familiar with Google Alerts, and you can just go on there and type in somebody's name. Say you were the person I've been wanting to sell something to for a long time, and I know that you have a lot of friends that I would also like to meet.
Mm-hmm.
I would just do a little drip campaign for you, and I would put your name in the Google Alerts, and every time an article came up, I would get an email saying Dave just won this award, or
Yeah.
Dave had this
Congratulations.
accomplishment.
Yeah.
And I could pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Dave, congratulations. I read this article." And you're like, "Wow, nobody saw that article but my family, because I sent it to them." Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of just staying out there and talking to people and getting in touch. If you're going to sit in your house all day and wait for the phone to ring, you've already lost the game at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I guess the other side of it too, when we talk sales, is how you service people and how you show up for your clients. My real estate agent, for example, her name is Carol. I won't go to anybody else. Like, there's thousands of real estate agents around me, but Carol has been consistent with me. We bought and sold properties with her. We laugh. We have so much fun with her. She's kind. She goes out of her way. I trust her with my money and my decisions. She's like one of my family. and I will not go anywhere else. Like, I don't know what's going to happen to me if she ever retires because I have no idea what I'll ever do. But that kind of connection with somebody that serves you and helps you in sales, when you find the right person and you build that bond as a salesperson or someone who's looking for a salesperson, that connection, it's very hard to break that,
Yeah.
right? When you find the right person. So be the right person
And
then.
yeah, and like locally here, I'd say 90% of my clients locally are friends with me on Facebook now.
Hey.
And, they know that I've got a kind of a weird sense of humor. So I mean, I do. And I put things on there that are just not quite inappropriate, but really pushing the edge sometimes. Yeah, And, but that's hard to do when you have clients that are, because I also have my website and people just purchase things directly from the website. We have some insurance products. I can't be friends with all those people that are in 3 states away.
Yeah.
But, as far as locally, I do have that relationship with a lot of my clients and they know me and it's nice because I can, I get on Facebook and it says it's their birthday and I can tell them happy birthday and, things like that. You just, try to participate a little bit. You don't want to like get in the middle of all their personal stuff, but say, hey, how you doing? Drop them a note every now and then. Hope everything's fine. Even if it's just a year after they bought something, you put that in the calendar. Mm-hmm. That anniversary of that policy or whatever you sold them.
Right.
Just want to touch base with you and see how you're doing. If you need anything, let me know. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
It's very easy.
Use the tools that are there. Don't rely on your memory because we're going to forget something. We're going to forget, who is that person I bought something 5 years ago? Yeah.
Yeah. I had a guy, I'll tell you a great example of this is I had a guy several years ago and talked to him about some life insurance. Nice guy. He said, look, I'm single. I don't have a family. I don't need life insurance. Thanks anyway. I said, great. Do you mind if I just put you in a file and just touch base with you? He said, absolutely. That's great. And sure enough, a year later, went by and saw him, and he said, dude, things have changed dramatically. He had a brother who had passed away. The brother had a special needs child who was not a child, 19, 20 years old. And now he was taking care of this kid.
Right.
And he goes, I do need some life insurance now. And just by having him in there and getting permission to touch base with him, he was like, I hadn't even thought about it, but yeah, I need some life insurance now. Yeah. So that's one of those things where you just build that little bit of rapport. You don't have to build, when they say relationship selling, you don't have to be, oh, I love you and I want to be your best friend forever. Yeah. But just building a rapport and letting them know that you're there and I'm available if you need something. And if you don't remember me, I'm going to come back in a year and talk to you again.
Okay.
So that's all it is. Just like I said, just staying top of mind is the big thing if you can,
Okay. Chris, we have people listen to this show who are event promoters. They're looking for speakers for events. And I know you have on your website that you do speaking. I would think virtual would be one option for you as well, where you can travel without having to travel and do it online as a speaker. But who would be a great audience for you as a speaker? Who are you looking to serve? And because you might get some responses from people listening.
Well, thanks for booking me, Dave.
There you go. Helping you out.
I enjoy speaking to any sales organization. Okay. And I've also spoken to groups that weren't sales organizations. I have the one talk that's, everybody's in sales. We're all in it together. And I use it as that one's more of like, let's use some sales techniques as life hack kind of things. Let me show you how to get your kid to eat their vegetables. And then, but a lot of them are like real estate offices I've talked to. I'm trying to think who else now. Just several groups like that, more or less, and some insurance organizations. I don't get too deep in the weeds on their products. It's more, here's just things you need to do. Here's some funny stories that have happened to me. And I just like talking to people. It's fun. I think we were talking in our meetup group. I said I had joined Toastmasters the wrong way, and I joined. I was doing stand-up comedy just as a side thing, and And then after I did that and realized that I wasn't going to be anytime soon a famous comedian, I said, well, let's go to Toastmasters and learn how to speak professionally.
Hmm.
And I love Toastmasters. It was just totally nerdy fun. I loved it. And I met some great people, learned how to speak. You wouldn't know it. Listen to me right now, but tons of ums and ers and
Yeah.
ahs and all those things. But met some cool people. Yeah, it was nice. So I enjoy speaking to anybody. If they want me, I'll be happy to speak with anybody.
There you go. All right. And they can reach out to you through your website then too, right, Chris?
Right. It's chriscastanes.com. And there's a little contact form on there and a calendar. You can, if you want to talk to me first, and sure.
Cool.
I'm happy.
What's one thing about Chris that not a lot of people know, but people would be really entertained to find out? Something special, a story, something unique about you, a hobby, something? Come on, you got to be something special.
Well, the comedy thing was fun. When I did the comedy thing, it was actually a open mic contest. It was a competition, and I did that I did that 3 times. It was a local comedy club here, and they had twice a year they would do a comedy competition. It would last for weeks. They'd have like 4 or 5 weeks of preliminaries, and then those people would go to the finals. And the first time I tried it, I came in 4th place, and they give you a little bag, gift bag with some swag. And the second time I came in 2nd place and then got an even better bag of swag. And then the 4th time they said, well, we want you to come in, and I won. And so I was unofficially the funniest person in the county, I guess.
There you go.
I don't know if that's a good thing or not. But instead of getting a bag with swag, you get to MC for a week and get paid. They made a big thing, and you're going to get paid like the regular MC does. And at the end of the week, they paid me, and I was really like, wow, how does this guy live off of this? And so that, it was fun. I got to get up in front of people and just say totally inappropriate stuff. I love I love good dirty jokes, and the sicker the better sometimes. And then after that was when I went to Toastmasters, and I was like, I really need to learn how to speak professionally, because there's a world of difference between telling inappropriate, dirty adult jokes and then, that you would usually tell just to your friends and family.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you're standing in front of a bunch of, people who want to know about business.
Right.
You're like, well, I can't drop that word anymore. And this one, so they're both fun. I enjoy the corporate part just because you don't get heckled as much. And
yeah, true.
And I'm very sensitive. I cry a lot. So.
There you go. I love it. Good, Chris. Well, are you going to keep writing? Do you got more books in the future? What do you think?
I haven't been writing. I've been blogging a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
The podcast has had me. I've been having to write, not copy, but I don't want to just read something off the page. Yeah. But I have been having to use that same kind of skill set to put an outline and thoughts on paper. And because, as you know, when you're talking to someone, you have to kind of rein them in sometimes. They'll go on little bunny trails and go, you ask a question, well, tell me something about, that we don't know. And next thing you know, you're hearing about their vacation or something.
With a wart on their foot or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The wart on their foot or anything, so it's just, keeping the guest on track is fun to hurdle. It's a hurdle, and I think of it as a challenge. Sometimes I'm like, I know this guy's going to go off the reservation. I'm going to get to reel him back in.
Right, you got to. It's fun. It's herding cats, like you said earlier, right?
Yeah. It's always something. But other than that, it's just writing. I haven't been doing as much. I don't know if I'm going to put out another book anytime soon, unless Brad Pitt decides to pick up the rights to one of my books and play me in a movie or something.
Of course.
Well,
It's going to
who
happen.
else?
Or it's
Who
going to
else
happen.
would do it, right?
I would not think of anyone else.
I know,
Chris.
exactly.
It's so uncanny how much you two look
It's
alike.
the resemblance.
It's
you know.
amazing. Yeah.
I know.
Your twin.
It's so many times I walk around and people just go, "You? I know you from somewhere."
Just sign autographs. Brad Pitt.
No,
Pitt.
I've never been mistaken for Brad Pitt.
There you go. Awesome. Chris, thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for being in our meetup group and for your new podcast and all that. You're fun to talk to. And it's so cool how we can connect with new people. I never know where people are coming from. And I'm glad to cross paths with you. And I'm excited to have you on here to talk about your books.
Thanks for your podcast, because I've been learning a lot from it. And same with the meetup group. I mean, it's been awesome. You guys kind of set me straight a week ago, and I don't want to say set me straight, but gave me some stuff. And I don't know if you noticed during the meetup, I was over there just taking copious notes and writing things down. And I was like, okay, now I got a to-do list. And so that helped me tremendously. So, I appreciate you and anybody else that helps me out, so.
Good stuff. Everyone go listen to Chris's podcast. It's great. A few episodes out there. He's already getting going. So you want to get in early and start listening from the beginning. You're going to love it. And follow his show too. So every time he has a new episode, and when you listen, I know I listen on Spotify, there's an option for me to leave comments within the podcast. But leave a comment, leave a review, let Chris know, send him an email. Wherever he is, wherever you come across him. And if you want your picture taken with one of his books, just go hang out with Chris. You'll probably end up somewhere online holding his book. So There you go.
I have a distant cousin who lives in England, and he apparently bought my book and took a picture of himself posing like the cover of the book and put it on Facebook. This is about a year or so ago, and it was hilarious. And so, you can take your own picture. You don't have to have me hand you a book. You can buy a book and take your own picture and send it to me.
So if somebody walks up, hands you a book, and takes a picture of you, it's probably going to be Chris.
Yes.
Just keep it in mind.
Smile.
He's not going to bite. He's a nice guy.
Yeah. Just look like you're enjoying this for a second, and then I'll take the book away and you can.
There you go. Awesome. Chris, thank you so much for doing this. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast. Glad to have you here. I just want to let you know that you can always find out what we're doing live in the moment by going to our YouTube channel. Head over to livingthenextchapter.com. There'll be a link right there. Head over to our YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all the things that all the YouTubers love to say. And in our YouTube channel, a couple things. You're going to get advanced listens. You're going to get the episodes that we're working on in real time. So we record and post daily on our YouTube channel. I'd love for you to give us a follow over there. As well, we're making playlists. We have over 500 episodes. So finding the right episode for you, we're trying to group things into playlists. So if you like children's books, if you like business, you like historical fiction, we're grouping our authors together to make it a little easier for you to find your favorite next author. So head over to livingthenextchapter.com. And again, I'd love to hear from you. Hearing from the listeners of the show is great. And I just want to say thank you for being a part of the podcast family. And I look forward to having you back for the next episode. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate your time and your listen. Take care.